Okie dokie, welcome back to day, where are we? Day 8 of the 2-week challenge. The topic for today, or the theme for the day, or whatever you want to call it, is these lovely Kor rollers. If you've been following, or if you just caught the mica shift day, which was the second day, I think, last week Tuesday, you would have seen me use these with some mica shift techniques. So these are basically just little acrylic rollers that have a pattern cut out of them. So this one, it's hard to see on the camera, but this one is little leaves, and this one is a bit easier to see, it's hearts. So they're really simple to use, and there are so many different ones available out there. So just have a look online. I got mine from kortools.com, but I know that they're also on the lovely ladies at Towards have them in stock as well, and I'm sure you can find them other places too. So I thought that, seeing as I've already done something with Kor rollers before, I'll just quickly make a few pendants using two different techniques, I guess. Two different ways of doing it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to condition some clay here. So as always, I'm using my Premo clay, and this particular one is the Peacock Pearl, and this is Peacock Pearl and just regular pearl mixed together to get a lighter shade. Okay, so this is on my setting number 6, which is just a little bit less than my thinnest setting. And I'm going to cut out some squares. I'm just going to layer these together. And I'm just running this through the pasta machine to thin it back out. Get rid of the bubbles. Cut this in half and then stack it again. Back into the pasta machine, and then we'll cut it in half again. Okie dokie, that should be more than enough. Actually, it might be a bit too much. But, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab, I think I'm going to use these little hearts. I'm just going to measure this. Actually, let me get my cutter. So the pendants I'm going to make will be made from my lovely jelly cutters. I think this was Sasha or Winston, I can never tell which is which. They're little doggy ears. So I just need about that much. Okay. So I'm going to grab my this one is, like I said, the little heart one. So just gonna put it on this bottom here, and I'm going to press quite firmly as I roll along the clay here. There we go. So now I have a lovely, the harder you press, the more of an impression the roller will make into the clay. So as you can see, this is quite clearly stamped in there. Sheesh, for a second I forgot how to speak. Okay, I'm going to put this one aside, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other half, but from the light side. Oopsie, went a bit wobbly there. Okay, I'll just cut that bit off. There we go. Okay, so now I have these two sheets, but what I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to just leave it like this, because first of all it is way too thin to withstand any sort of wear. So I'm just going to grab some more of my peacock pearl, and I'm just going to put a backing on it. Might need more than that. Okie dokie. Cut these scraggly bits off. Okay, and now I'm going to find my cutter, and I'm actually just going to cut out this shape here. And I'm just going to rinse and repeat for the second one. I find these big cutters, I struggle to push them down evenly, so what I use is one of these little, it's just a glass coaster, or you can use an acrylic stamping block as well, but the one I have is a bit small, so, and that way it's easier for me to apply even pressure. There we go. This one off as well. And now one last thing before I complete this little pendant. I'm just smoothing off some of the little leftover bits from the cutting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this on my glass. like this. And I'm just going to actually remove the hearts that are poking out. Oopsies. So some of the darker turquoise is coming through because of the layers. So I just need to neaten this up a bit. And again, I'm just going to repeat with this one. And there's the same thing, but with the hearts paler. Once again, I'm just going to tidy this up a bit. Now these will need another backing because I've cut through all the layers there, so just to make it nice and neat I'd put another bit of clay on the back there, and voila, 2 beautiful turquoise pendants. Okay, let me just move all of this out the way. Now the next one I want to do is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to use some canes, some flower canes, and make a pendant with those. So I think I'll need some green. So it's the Premo pearl green, bright pearl green with a bright green pearl. Just going to condition some of this. And I've still got my pasta machine on a 6, so the sheet of clay is fairly thin. The other thing, of course, that you can do with Kor Rollers is make your own texture sheets. With these, the cutout is the raised bit when we use the Kor Rollers. But if you make a texture sheet with it, then of course it would be the opposite. So the cutout bits would stand out on the texture sheet, and so when you use it on fresh clay it would make the indents rather than the other way around. But more on that, I'll cover a bit more of that on Thursday when we cover textures. Okay, so I think that's going to be enough. I'm going to use this rectangle. This is just, I got it from a cake shop, I think. And I'm just lightly pressing it into the clay here so that I have a bit of a guide to show me whereabouts I want to cut. And then I'm going to use some flowers. I mean, not flowers, leaves. So I have 2 different leaves. I have one that's more of a fern leaf, which I think is the one I'm going to use now, and one that's just sort of a different leaf. Okay, so it's gone a bit wobbly here. Okay, wait, I'm gonna have to do this over. I'm actually reconsidering the rectangle. I might use my jelly cutters instead. This one here, I think. And I think the shape is called Deb. And I'll once again use the big one. Some little crumbs underneath there, which is annoying. I'm really indecisive tonight. I think Courtney would be better. Okay, so I'm using this little fern leaf one. No, I actually don't know what the pattern is called. I'm just saying it's fern leaf because that's what it looks like to me. Isn't that pretty? So I'll put that aside for the moment. I'm just going to do another one. Don't know if this one's going to be wide enough. This is the other leaf. Yep, should be fine. Okay. Okey-dokey. Now I'm going to put I'm not actually going to put the canes directly on this. I'm going to put it on pearl white so that they stand out a bit better. Got some pearl white here. Grab a sheet. And I'm actually just going to cut 2 of these. The nice thing with the 7-inch rollers is you have more of a surface area, so you can be a bit more choosy as to what part of the impression you get, or the part of the impression that you use. So you can go away, go away. Right. Now I'm going to grab, this one might be fine. I'm just going to slice this. I want it in a sort of an S shape. So I'm going to take my tissue blade and I'm just going to flex it because it's, you know, it's safe. It won't, I shouldn't say it won't snap, but I've never snapped one, so. Just about there should do it. And the same with this one here. Just be mindful if you are using the Kor rollers, because you have to apply quite a bit of pressure when you're rolling out the texture. It's a lot thinner than what it started out as, so if you started it at a 6, it will probably get squished down by at least one setting on the pasta machine. I'm going to do the same with this one here. Now I'm just going to place this on my pearl. There we go. And I'll do this one on the other one. And this can be something else. I'm not sure what yet. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab some of my canes and actually just put some flower cane slices on the pearl over here. Actually, maybe I should pull this off first. Yeah. Okay, I'm doing this a bit backwards. Okay, so green. I've got these little pink ones, which I think will be pretty. Some orange roses. The yellow rose that I made the other night, or the other morning with the garden canes day. And I have some little red flowers. I think I'll leave the pink one. What putting those green bits on here has done is it's left a bit of an impression on the clay where, I mean, it's very subtle, so I doubt the camera will pick it up, but it's left sort of a mark on the clay where so on the side is where it was. So I have a better idea of where to put the slices, the cane slices. Flatten these in there a little bit. might actually just leave it like that. I quite like it. I might add some little white flowers if I can find them. Oh, these are yellow. Okay, these aren't white, but they'll do. Actually, no, I don't like them. I really do want the white ones. You know, if I was a bit more organized, I would have these things ready to go. I had it on my desk yesterday or the day before. Can't be too far away. There it is. That's what I wanted. Here's the first one. So once again, this is really rather thin, so I will have to put a another backing on it. Just going to reduce it a little bit. So instead of rolling it on the surface, I'm actually just twisting and pulling to stretch it. And giving it a light squeeze. Rolling it on the table will make it round, and I don't actually want this cane round. Dull, so it's actually dragging the clay rather than slicing it nicely. It is really hot here, so the clay is super soft without needing much help from anything that I'm doing. which makes it really, really tricky to use. So this is my in case of emergency blade. It's really, really sharp. It's a shaving blade from Gillette, and it's double-sided, which is why I have this masking tape on there. But it's a really sharp, thin blade, so it's perfect for making slices and cans and stuff when they're being facetious. Isn't that pretty? So once again, this will need a backing, and when I do the backing, I'll put a bail on it and be able to string it without poking a hole in it. So I really love the colors on this one. So what you could also do to highlight some of these leaves here is add some mica powders, which of course I've packed away, the one thing I pack away after using. I will, in the second half of tonight, I will put some mica powders on this and just play around with some extra colouring on that. The red and white one, which I also quite like. So there's those, and I'll do this one, and then I think we'll call it quits for this demonstration, and then I'll have a break, have a coffee, and then I'll come back and play some more. So I'll just mute the mic so you won't have to hear me rambling on about nothing, and then I will just play some music. Thinking so this is also a core tool. The only difference is this is a little stamp, a little stencil, whatever you want to call it, and I have quite a few of those as well. So this one just works like a standard stamp. You just poke it into the clay and glue it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp in this little flower a couple of times into this guy. You just need to be mindful with some of these little stamps, because actually even with the Kor Rollers, because the detail work on them is so absolutely fine, if your clay is too soft or too smushy, the clay will actually get stuck in these little grooves. Like you can see with this leaf one, there's quite a bit of clay stuck in various parts of it, and it's not impossible to clean, it's just really, really hard. So best to be avoided, basically. thing that's quite big, but it's also quite pretty. And again, you can fill these little indents with mica powders and make them stick out a bit more, but I quite like it subtle like that. So that's really, I mean, that's all I'm going to show you today. But with all of these things, with all of these techniques, all of these clay whatevers, really the sky is the limit. If you can imagine it, you can probably do it. So, you know, play around with it, see what you can come up with, and you'd be surprised. There's what can be done with it. Anyway, so for tonight I'm going to say good night, and thank you once again for joining me, and hopefully I can see you tomorrow for some interesting veneer work again. So I call it shred and stick, but other people call it the watercolor technique, or there's a couple of other weird names for it out there, but it's really quite beautiful. So hopefully you'll join me for that. Until then, I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.